What is destroying people today is not the world around them, it's the world within them. Not the wars they see on the outside, but the battles they lose in silence. The greatest victories you will ever win in this life will not happen in public with applause. They will happen in the lonely corridors of your mind, when no one is watching, when you are deciding whether to obey your impulses or rise higher, whether to speak out of rage or remain silent, whether to waste your money or honor God with it. If you can't control your mind, your mouth, and your money, then even if the gates of heaven are wide open, you will not have the discipline to walk through them. This is the hour to awaken, to stop blaming the devil, your enemies, your past. God did not design you to be a slave to your thoughts. God did not create you to be a victim of your emotions. God did not give you a mouth to curse your destiny or hands to squander his blessings. If you keep letting your mind wander into darkness, if you keep letting your tongue speak what your soul doesn't believe, if you keep throwing away what God gave you, then you are not being attacked by anything external. You are sabotaging your control your mind, because everything you do flows from it. The mind is the workshop of both greatness and destruction. Before you ever fall, your mind agreed to it. Before you ever said something hurtful, your mind made peace with the thought. Before you ever wasted what was in your hand, your mind told you it was okay. Do you know why you are tired even when you do nothing? Because your mind is noisy. It's overthinking, overreacting, overanalyzing, everything God never asked you to carry. If your mind is full of bitterness, fear, pride, greed, or lust, how can God bless what you're asking for? You can dress up the outside, you can smile and speak faith with your lips, but if your thoughts are undisciplined, undirected, and ungodly, then your life will follow them into confusion. There is no spiritual maturity without mental mastery, and no one can master the mind for you, not your parents, not your friends, not your spiritual mentors. This is the war you must fight alone in the secret places of your soul. When thoughts of envy come, kill them. When thoughts of doubt come, confront them with truth. When thoughts of laziness come, rebuke them with discipline. You are not a servant to your feelings, you are a servant of God. And if God rules your life, then your mind must be trained by the hand of heaven. Not every thought that visits you deserves to live. Not every feeling that knocks at your door should be welcomed. Control your mind or it will control you. But the mind is not the only battlefield. The mouth is just as dangerous, maybe more. Your tongue is a sword. It can build or destroy, bless or curse, create peace or cause chaos. How many lives have been shattered because someone said what they shouldn't have said? How many destinies have been delayed because the tongue moved faster than the spirit? God gave you your voice not just to speak, but to speak life, to speak wisdom, to speak restraint. Some of the most powerful people are not the loudest, they're the quietest, because they've learned that silence is strength, that pausing before speaking is not weakness, it is wisdom. You don't need to respond to every insult. You don't need to defend yourself against every accusation. God sees what you're silent about, and God rewards what you restrain. Sometimes the greatest proof of faith is the ability to hold your tongue when everything inside you wants to lash out. You can speak destruction into your own life by constantly complaining. You can curse your own future by speaking defeat. Some people talk themselves out of God's blessing because their mouth is undisciplined. If you want your life to change your words. Speak what honors God. Speak what uplifts. Speak what aligns with purpose. Stop saying, I can't. Stop saying, I'll never. Stop saying, it's too late. Stop gossiping, stop exaggerating, stop lying to protect your image. God hears what you whisper when no one else is listening. Words matter. In fact, they create. When you release a word into the air, you are planting a seed into your reality. Be careful what you plant. Don't plant bitterness and expect joy. Don't plant sarcasm and expect peace. Don't plant flattery and expect authenticity. Guard your mouth as you would guard your life, because in truth, they are one and the same. And now, the final battlefield, your money. Oh, yes, money reveals what no prayer or worship ever could. You say you love God, but where does your money go? You say you live by faith, but how do you spend when no one is watching? The way you handle your money is not just financial, it is spiritual. It reveals whether you are ruled by greed or guided by gratitude. Whether you trust God or worship your bank account, God is not against wealth, but God is against idolatry. When your money becomes your master, your soul becomes its slave. Don't say, I would give if I had more. Give with the little you have, and God will bless it. Don't say, I'll be generous when I'm rich. If you're stingy now, more money will only expose the poverty in your heart. Honor God with your resources, not just your leftover change, but with intentionality, with respect, with sacrifice. Your money should reflect discipline. Stop spending to impress people who don't care. Stop going broke trying to look successful. Stop wasting your resources on meaningless things while your spirit starves. Budget with reverence. Save with purpose. Spend with self-restraint. When God sees that you can handle the little wisely, He will trust you with more. You're not broke because of the economy. You're broke because your decisions are not in alignment with God's wisdom. Don't let your emotions drive your finances. That sale won't satisfy your soul. That new gadget won't fill the void in your spirit. That vacation won't heal the wound in your heart. Get your soul right with God first, and you'll stop looking for therapy in things. Control your money, or money will control you. And once it does, you'll find yourself compromising your values, selling your time, sacrificing your peace, all for something you were never meant to serve. The mind, the mouth, and the money, these are not random areas. These are the temples where your discipline or your downfall is built. If you can master these three, you will master your life. You can have faith that moves mountains, but if your thoughts are reckless, your words are careless, and your finances are chaotic, then your faith will be paralyzed. God is calling you higher, not just spiritually, but mentally, verbally, and financially. God is not impressed by how high you raise your hands if your mind is filled with anxiety, your words are filled with poison, and your money is spent like dust. Don't just pray for a better life, build one with better discipline. Don't just ask God to change your circumstances, change the way you manage what you already have. You are not a puppet of your past. You are not a victim of your environment. You are not defined by what you lack. You are defined by how you steward what you have. Your mind is your garden. Your mouth is your instrument. Your money is your test. God has given you everything you need to succeed, but He will not control for you what you refuse to discipline. And don't you ever believe the lie that says, that's just the way I am. No. That's just the way you've trained yourself to be. You can retrain your thoughts. You can restrain your words. You can redirect your spending. It won't be easy, but it will be holy. It won't be quick, but it will be worth it. God honors those who honor Him, not just in prayer, but in practice, not just in belief, but in behavior. You don't need another miracle. You need to control your mind. You don't need another prophecy. You need to control your mouth. You don't need another loan. You need to control your money. It all begins with ownership. Stop shifting blame. Stop making excuses. If your life is out of order, bring your thoughts back under the authority of God. Bring your words back under the command of wisdom. Bring your finances back under the light of discipline. Then watch how God multiplies what you once thought was too little. The ones who rise the highest are not the ones who shout the loudest. They are the ones who master the quiet wars, the war in the mind, the battle of the tongue, the struggle with money. If you can win there, you can win anywhere. Because self-control is not just a fruit of obedience. It is the sign that God truly reigns over your life. And where God reigns, disorder cannot last. Let us go even deeper now into the hidden chambers of the soul, where true transformation must take place. The world may applaud intelligence, talent, beauty, and charisma, but God looks at something far more sacred, self-control. A person who can govern their own mind, guard their own tongue, and manage their own resources is more powerful than the one who commands armies or builds empires. For what good is it to conquer cities if you cannot conquer your own inner chaos? What good is it to own wealth if you are bankrupt in wisdom? What good is eloquence if your words destroy more than they heal? God is not interested in appearances. He sees the unseen. He listens to what your thoughts sound like in silence. He watches how your desires dance in the dark when no one is around. He knows how you treat the blessings you've been given, not in moments of abundance, but in moments of lack. This is why discipline is not an option. It is the evidence that you walk with God. To control your mind is to resist the invasion of lies that try to build a throne in your head. To control your tongue is to deny your ego the satisfaction of vengeance. To control your money is to prove that your heart does not serve gold, it serves God. And the truth is this: when God truly has authority in your life, it shows, not just in your worship, but in your decisions, not just in your prayers, but in your patterns. There are people praying for miracles they will never receive because their lifestyle contradicts the very thing they are asking for. You cannot ask God to bring peace into a mind you refuse to discipline. You cannot ask God to bring increase into finances you waste with impulse. You cannot ask God to elevate your life while your mouth tears down others. God is not mocked. He responds to those who take responsibility. He lifts those who submit, not in words only, but in practice. When you control your mind, you begin to silence the voice of doubt. You break the cycle of fear. You unlearn the toxic beliefs passed down through generations. You stop feeding your thoughts with the poison of envy and resentment. You start building a foundation of clarity, of courage, of conviction. You no longer allow your past to dictate your present. You no longer allow comparison to rob you of contentment. Your mind becomes a temple, not a battlefield, a place where God's presence can dwell because you've cleared out what doesn't belong. When you control your mouth, your relationships change. Your atmosphere changes. Your own self-perception changes. Because now, instead of tearing down with criticism, you build with wisdom. Instead of reacting in anger, you respond with understanding. Instead of speaking recklessly, you speak with intention. Your words carry weight. Your silence carries authority. You speak only when it adds value. You refrain when it could ignite chaos. You no longer use your mouth as a weapon of self-destruction or harm toward others. You use it as an offering to God. You learn that silence is not weakness, it is warfare. And when you do speak, every word is a seed that brings life, not death. And when you control your money, you shift the foundation of your life. You stop living for temporary thrills and begin living for long-term purpose. You stop proving your worth with purchases and you start honoring your worth with discipline. You stop envying the rich and start stewarding what you have. You realize that it is not about how much you make, but what you do with it. Some of the wealthiest people in the eyes of God are those who manage their little with great wisdom. And some of the poorest in spirit are those who squander abundance with greed and pride. Your money is a test. Every coin, every note, every transaction is a mirror showing what you truly value. God is not against wealth, but God is against waste. God is not opposed to abundance, but God is opposed to arrogance. And when you fail to manage what He's given, you send a message to heaven that you are not ready for more. Discipline tells God, you can trust me with increase. You can trust me with responsibility. You can trust me with legacy. But recklessness says, I care more about comfort than calling, more about pleasure than purpose. And God does not anoint those who live for pleasure. He anoints those who live with purpose. But understand this, controlling your mind, your mouth, and your money is not a one-time decision. It is a daily war. You will have to wake up and fight every single day. Some days, your thoughts will try to betray you. Some days, your emotions will try to command your speech. Some days, your flesh will crave things your soul cannot afford. And on those days, you will have to stand taller. you will have to remind yourself who you are and whose you are. You are not just a body with cravings. You are a soul with eternal value. You are made to walk in power, not in panic, in order, not in chaos, in alignment with God, not in addiction to the world. Don't wait until everything is falling apart to take this seriously. Don't wait until you've ruined relationships with your tongue or lost your peace through undisciplined thoughts or fallen into financial ruin to wake up. Wisdom prepares before disaster strikes. Discipline builds walls before the flood comes. It is far better to control your mind now than to live in regret later. It is far better to guard your tongue now than to repair damage from words spoken in haste. It is far better to learn financial discipline now than to plead with God to fix problems your own choices created. If your mind is not under control, your decisions will be unpredictable. If your tongue is not under control, your relationships will be unstable. If your money is not under control, your future will be unsustainable. And don't be deceived. Just because you are talented or anointed or intelligent does not mean you are immune to failure. Many great people have fallen, not because they lacked vision, but because they lacked discipline. Vision will show you the promise, but discipline will carry you to it. And God rewards the faithful, not just the gifted. So let today be the day you draw the line, not just emotionally, but practically. Clean your mental space. Declutter the negative thoughts. Starve the voices that don't come from God. Speak less, but speak wisely. Speak slower, but speak powerfully. Spend deliberately. Save patiently. Give generously. Live intentionally. These are not just rules for a better life. These are principles for a life that God can bless. Do not let your past excuse your present. Do not let your comfort delay your calling. The voice of laziness will say, "You've done enough." The voice of God will say, "I have more for you, but I need you to rise to the level of what I want to give you." And that means mastering your inner world before you ask for outer blessings. No one can do this for you, not your friends, not your family, not even those who love you most. This is your sacred assignment, to rule your mind with the strength of God, to guide your tongue with the wisdom of God, to manage your money with the fear of God. And the beautiful thing is, when you do this, peace will follow, stability will come, clarity will grow. You won't have to chase success. Success will be drawn to the order you've built. Blessings will not slip through your fingers because your hands will be steady. God is not asking for perfection. He is asking for surrender. A surrender that says, even if it's hard, I will choose discipline. Even if it takes time, I will stay consistent. Even if I fall, I will get up again. Because I know that every step I take in self-control brings me closer to the life God has for me. The reward of discipline is not just external, it's internal. It is peace of mind. It is the strength of character. It is the ability to look in the mirror and see someone who walks in honor, in courage, and in obedience. Let others chase the wind. Let others waste their days. But you, be different, be disciplined, be rooted. Be governed by the power of God, not the pull of the world. For what God has prepared for you is too sacred to be mishandled, too valuable to be squandered, too divine to be contaminated by chaos. Rise up, take control, and walk in the authority God has already given you. There is a moment in every person's life where they must choose. Will I be mastered by my desires, or will I submit to the discipline of God? It is not an easy choice, because discipline demands that you go against everything comfortable. It demands that you swim against the current of your culture. It demands that you say no to what feels good so you can say yes to what is right. But remember this, what feels good for a moment can destroy a destiny that was meant to last for generations. The greatest tragedy is not a lack of opportunity. It is a lack of discipline in the presence of opportunity. God opens doors, but only the discipline can walk through them without falling. You must understand that the undisciplined mind becomes a nest for every lie the enemy can sow. A mind without restraint will believe anything. It will accept failure as final. It will assume fear is truth. It will take in the criticisms of others and shape identity around them. You are not created to be a prisoner of doubt. You are not designed to be tormented by what-ifs and never-ending fears. Your mind, when disciplined, becomes a place where God's voice is louder than the noise, where clarity replaces confusion, where peace silences panic. But this won't happen by accident. You must train your thoughts to bow before the presence of God. When a thought enters your mind that contradicts who God says you are, you must reject it like poison. You must treat every thought as a guest. Ask, are you building my future or destroying my peace? If the thought leads to shame, bitterness, distraction, or sin, evict it. Don't allow your mind to become a playground for destruction, because once the mind becomes corrupt, the mouth follows, and soon after, your life reflects that disorder. The mouth is the revealer of the heart. Whatever you believe deeply, you will eventually speak. And if you do not bridle your tongue, your words will betray your future. Some people pray for peace, but speak only conflict. Others ask for favor, but speak with constant negativity. The tongue can either lift you or limit you. Every careless word sown in irritation. Every sarcastic remark disguised as humor. Every complaint uttered in routine frustration. These are seeds, and seeds grow. You are either building your future with your mouth or cursing it unknowingly. What would your life look like if your mouth only released words that were aligned with honor, wisdom, and purpose? Imagine the relationships you could restore if your tongue became an instrument of healing, not harm. Imagine the clarity you could bring to others if your speech was seasoned with the discipline of restraint. You don't have to say everything you think. You don't have to defend yourself every time you're misunderstood. There is power in silence, and there is greater power in saying the right thing at the right time, words that align with God's presence, not just your emotions. God hears the tone of your voice even when you think you're joking. God hears the hidden motive behind your flattery. God hears the sighs of resentment, the mutters of jealousy, the harshness of impatience. You may fool people with your speech, but you can never fool God. This is why the mouth must be governed by reverence. Speak not just to be heard, but to honor. Speak not just to respond, but to edify. Speak not just to release pressure, but to reflect the presence of God within you. And then comes the matter of money, an area most ignore until it collapses around them. But God sees how you manage every currency He places in your hands. And it's not just about how much you give, it's about how you live. Are your finances ruled by faith or by fear? Are your choices rooted in purpose or in impulse? Do you manage your resources like someone who believes God will provide again, or like someone afraid this is all they'll ever have? The way you handle money is a reflection of your relationship with control. And too often people try to use money to control outcomes, to impress others, to fill internal emptiness. But money was never meant to heal your soul. It was meant to serve a purpose. When you worship money, you become enslaved to the illusion of more. But when you surrender money to the will of God, it becomes a tool to elevate, to build, to bless. Live beneath your means. Invest in wisdom. Save not out of fear, but out of responsibility. Stop being seduced by the myth that more is always better. Peace is better than possessions. Stability is better than splurging. Contentment is better than comparison. If you can't control your spending, you will never experience the freedom God wants for you. You'll be making more and keeping less. You'll be upgrading your lifestyle, but downgrading your spirit. True freedom is not in having everything. It's in needing less and stewarding what you have. Do not despise small beginnings. A disciplined life in your current season prepares you for the overflow of your next one. Too many people pray for promotion, but have no order in their present. If God gave them more right now, it would ruin them because they have not yet built the structure to hold it. God will never bless chaos. He blesses preparation. He blesses order. He blesses the person who says, even if no one sees it, I will manage this moment like it matters to God. You want to be trusted with more? Be faithful with little. You want to grow in influence? Grow in discipline. You want to have peace? Master your inner world, because the greatest war is not out there, it's in here. The war to control your impulses, the war to silence negativity, the war to kill pride, the war to say no when everyone else is saying yes. But if you win that war, nothing can shake you. You become immovable, rooted, calm in the storm, grounded in truth, steady when others panic. Don't wait for a crisis to start caring about your mind, your mouth, and your money. Let this moment be your turning point. Start with one thought, one word, one choice. Build momentum in the direction of order. Build routines that reflect your purpose. Let your daily life preach louder than your prayers. God doesn't need you to be perfect, but He is calling you to be intentional. Discipline is your offering, and God honors it. So when you feel tired of fighting, remember this: it is not in vain. Every moment you resist temptation, you are growing stronger. Every time you pause before speaking, you are cultivating wisdom. Every dollar you manage with care is a seed for a future of abundance. You are not doing this just for yourself. You are doing this for the legacy that will come after you, for the people who will learn from your example, for the life God has written for you. If you are willing to rise to its level, control your mind, train it with truth, protect it with boundaries, focus it on what matters, control your mouth, filter every word through the lens of grace and honor, speak like someone who knows that God is listening, and control your money. Spend with purpose, save with dignity, give with joy, budget with wisdom. Refuse to live another day enslaved to your cravings. Let God's discipline shape your decisions, and your decisions will shape a destiny worth walking in. And now let the truth penetrate deeper. Discipline is not a punishment, it is a protection. God calls you to discipline not to limit your life, but to preserve your life. When your mind is governed, your soul finds rest. When your speech is purified, your relationships are healed. When your finances are submitted, your future is secured. The undisciplined man may gain quickly but loses silently. The undisciplined woman may shine for a season, but eventually her foundation will reveal itself. Without structure, blessings become burdens. Without restraint, freedom becomes bondage. Without discipline, what God gives can be lost. Think about this. How many people have fallen not because of external attacks, but because of internal lack of order? How many dreams have died because someone couldn't control their thinking? How many marriages have suffered because words were spoken in anger that could not be taken back? How many lives have been crushed under the weight of financial irresponsibility? The problem is not always the enemy outside. It's often the disorder inside. And that is why God, in His mercy, gives you warning before collapse. He gives you conviction before destruction. He nudges your spirit and says, bring order here before this thing breaks apart. When God sees that you're serious about discipline, doors begin to open, not because of luck, but because discipline prepares you to walk through what prayer alone cannot handle. Do not misinterpret this. Prayer is essential. It invites the presence of God into your situation. But prayer must partner with obedience, and obedience is proven in discipline. When God gives you an instruction and you obey it, even when it costs, even when it's inconvenient, that is when transformation begins. That is when favor rests on your house. That is when peace enters your mind. That is when clarity follows your every step. A controlled mind is not a mind absent of thoughts. It is a mind where only thoughts that honor God are allowed to stay. You must become the gatekeeper of your own consciousness. What are you allowing in? What conversations are shaping your thinking? What voices are directing your choices? You cannot afford to be casual with your thoughts. A single undisciplined thought can unravel years of progress, and the mind doesn't shout, it whispers. It doesn't demand, it suggests. That's why the disciplined soul stays alert, awake, watching over the mind like a shepherd watches over his flock. And when it comes to your mouth, your speech is the echo of your spirit. You cannot say you are walking in wisdom while your words are reckless. Words are not just sounds, they are carriers of spirit. They travel far and they return with harvest. Some of the chaos people experience in their lives is the result of words they released without discernment. Words shape atmosphere. Words can invite peace or stir confusion. If you keep speaking defeat, you'll keep walking in discouragement. If you speak like a victim, you will live like one. But when your speech aligns with the truth of God, when you speak gratitude, when you speak vision, when you speak mercy, you begin to attract what you have declared. It is not enough to say you believe, you must speak like it. It is not enough to say you trust, you must refuse to speak fear. It is not enough to say you value peace, you must silence gossip. You must stop giving life to rumors, feeding drama, and echoing negativity. Some people are not progressing not because they lack opportunity, but because they are trapped in the prison of their own vocabulary. They sabotage themselves with their own lips. God desires your mouth to be a vessel for honor, a mouth that builds, not breaks, a tongue that speaks truth even when it costs, a voice that carries wisdom even when it's not popular. And then there is your money. Let's be clear. Money is a servant, not a master, but in the hands of the undisciplined, it becomes a god. You do not serve God when you are mastered by your spending habits. Every transaction reveals your priorities. Every budget reflects your belief system. Every moment you choose luxury over necessity, when you are not positioned for it, you are saying to God, I want image more than impact. But God is not impressed by appearances. He is moved by stewardship. Are you managing what He gave you? Are you investing in what builds your spirit? Are you supporting what aligns with divine purpose? Or are you throwing away your future in the name of convenience? Too many are living in cycles of financial stress because they have made comfort their idol. But discipline says, no, I won't spend what I don't have. No, I won't chase status. No, I won't live to impress people. I will live to please God. I will save, I will budget, I will give, and I will trust that God sees my sacrifice. There is beauty in restraint. There is power in simplicity. There is strength in contentment. Stop trying to prove yourself through material things. You are already valuable in the eyes of God. You do not need validation from the marketplace when you have affirmation from heaven. You do not need luxury to prove you're blessed. You need order to show that you are ready for more. And once you master that, God can bless you without the blessing becoming a burden. Every part of your life that is out of control reveals a part of your soul that is not yet fully surrendered. And that is not condemnation, that is a call to bring every part of yourself under the authority of God. God is not just the ruler of your worship, He desires to be the ruler of your habits, your thinking, your speaking, your planning, your priorities. And when He becomes Lord of all, you begin to see the power of self-government fueled by divine strength. And that is the truth most people don't want to hear. They want miracles without management. They want breakthrough without boundaries. They want elevation without effort. But God does not promote laziness. God does not bless disorder. God is a God of structure, precision, and excellence. You are not created to live reactively, emotionally, and randomly. You are made in the image of a God who brings chaos into order and calls light out of darkness. So why should your life remain in disarray? Rise, take control, not by might, not by pretending, but by submitting fully to the path of discipline and divine alignment. Let this be your declaration. I will not be mastered by my moods. I will not be ruled by my fears. I will not be driven by appetite. I will not speak what dishonors God. I will not spend without intention. I will live in such a way that heaven can trust me. This is what it means to walk in maturity. This is what it means to be spiritually awake. It's not about shouting louder. It's about living quieter, with focus, with wisdom, with peace. Because in the end, control is not about domination. It's about freedom. When your mind is controlled, you are free to think clearly. When your mouth is disciplined, you are free from regret. When your money is managed, you are free to be generous and stable. This is the freedom God desires for you, not the freedom to do whatever feels good, but the freedom to do what is good. The freedom to build, the freedom to bless, the freedom to live with power that flows from obedience. Let your mind be filled with light. Let your mouth be filled with grace. Let your money be handled with sacred wisdom. Because the way you handle these three things, your thoughts, your tongue, your treasure, will shape the legacy you leave behind, and the legacy that honors God is the only one worth building. You must understand, when God calls a person to rise, He does not begin by changing the outside. He begins by confronting what is hidden. He touches the unseen parts of your life and says, this must come into order. He does not start with your circumstances. He starts with your character. He doesn't start with your dreams. He starts with your discipline. Because God is not in the business of decorating dysfunction. He rebuilds from the inside out. And if your inner world is cluttered with chaos, then the blessings you are asking for would only add pressure to a life already on the verge of collapse. So when God starts pruning your thoughts, silencing your speech, and redirecting your spending, do not resist it, rejoice in it. It means He has seen something in you worth refining. It means you are not forgotten. It means your life has meaning beyond the temporary. But to carry greatness, you must first be trained in control. You must be able to hold your tongue when insulted. You must be able to walk away from temptation when no one is watching. You must be able to manage your resources with care, even when it seems like you don't have enough. This is the true test, not when everything is easy, but when everything is demanding and still you choose discipline. God sees how you manage moments of pressure. He sees when you speak life, even when others speak death. He sees when you save what you could have wasted. He sees when you choose peace over panic. And these hidden choices, though unseen by the world, are sacred in the sight of God. They are acts of worship far more powerful than songs or sermons. They are offerings that say, God, I trust your way more than my emotions. I honor your order more than my impulses. Many want to walk in divine power, but they have not yet learned how to master personal discipline. And until the inner world is governed, the outer world will always be unstable. You can dress success, but you cannot fake order. Sooner or later, the truth rises to the surface. And that is why God works slowly, deeply, carefully, because what He builds must last. The walls you build with faith are only as strong as the foundations you lay with discipline. Do not be afraid to examine your life. Do not run from self-assessment. Ask yourself, is my mind a place where God's peace can dwell? Are my thoughts aligned with trust, or are they breeding doubt, fear, and resentment? Is my mouth a vessel of truth, or do I speak more than I listen, criticize more than I bless, argue more than I pray? Am I honoring God with my wealth, or have I allowed money to master my motives? These are the questions that refine the soul. These are the questions that move you from spiritual immaturity to spiritual authority. God is not looking for perfection, but He is searching for those who are willing to confront their own chaos and submit it to His hand. Because only in that submission does transformation begin. Only in that honesty can true strength be formed. Now let us be clear, discipline does not mean suppression, it means redirection. It does not kill desire, it channels it. When you discipline your mind, you don't stop dreaming. You start dreaming with clarity. When you discipline your mouth, you don't stop speaking, you start speaking with purpose. When you discipline your money, you don't stop enjoying life, you begin living wisely. The disciplined life is not a boring life. It is a life full of meaning where every action carries weight and every decision aligns with purpose. You were not born to drift, you were born to build. But builders don't act by emotion, they act by wisdom. They follow blueprints, not moods. And your life, if it is to reflect the will of God, must be constructed with intention, every thought laid like a brick, every word chosen like a nail, every resource managed like precious material. This is how legacies are formed, not through flashes of passion, but through consistency in the small, quiet, disciplined things. And hear this, God is not testing you to break you. He is testing you to reveal you. Every time you choose control over chaos, you are proving that what God placed in you is stronger than what's trying to pull you down. Every time you silence a destructive thought, you are echoing heaven's authority. Every time you deny your tongue the satisfaction of retaliation, you are rising above the level of the ordinary. Every time you steward your resources well, you are qualifying yourself for more. And this must be said, discipline is not only for the hard seasons, it is for every season, because the enemy of your soul does not attack only in crisis. He also attacks in comfort, when you begin to prosper, when things begin to grow, when opportunities open. Do not let comfort dilute your commitment. The same discipline that carried you through the valley must be carried into the mountain. Because success without discipline is deception. Comfort without boundaries is dangerous. Never let your blessings outgrow your boundaries. And never confuse busyness with purpose. Many people lose control of their mind, mouth, and money because they are overwhelmed by things that are not even part of their assignment. They say yes to everything, trying to please everyone, and in the process, they lose focus, they lose energy, they lose themselves. Discipline is not just about what you do, it is also about what you refuse to do. It's the ability to say no to the wrong things so you can say yes to what is right in the eyes of God. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is rest. Sometimes it is to walk away from a conversation. Sometimes it is to save instead of spend. Sometimes it is to be still instead of reacting. Discipline teaches you timing. Discipline teaches you rhythm. And when you walk in that divine rhythm, your life becomes a symphony of order, purpose, and peace. And above all, do not be discouraged by slow progress. The world celebrates the fast and flashy, but God honors the steady and faithful. You may not see immediate results. You may not be praised for your restraint, but heaven sees every quiet victory. Every time you chose wisdom over impulse. Every moment you walked in integrity when no one applauded. God is not blind to your efforts. He is watching. He is recording. And in the right season, He will reward what you've done in secret. So keep building, keep growing, keep choosing the path of order. You are not just doing this for yourself, you are breaking patterns for your children. You are changing narratives for your community. You are building a life that reflects the holiness of God, not in theory, but in practice. You are becoming a living example that a disciplined life is not only possible, it is powerful, that you can be successful and spiritual, that you can be wise and wealthy, that you can be calm and courageous, that you can be led by God and still be bold enough to lead others. And one day, when others look at your life, they won't just see achievements, they will see a testimony. They will see a person who took what God gave them and multiplied it with honor. A person who refused to waste words, waste time, or waste resources. A person who lived not for applause, but for alignment. A person who made every thought, every sentence, every decision, every dollar serve the higher purpose of glorifying God. That is what discipline creates. Not just success, not just progress, but legacy. A life that echoes long after you are gone. A life that leaves behind peace, wisdom, and strength. A life that pleases God.